What's going on, Cowboys Nation? Thank you guys so much for joining us on another episode of StarChasers, Girls Talk Ball. Yes, y'all, we back. And we were out last week, but thank you guys for joining us again, catching up this week. How you doing tonight, sis? I got my girl StarChasers with me. How you doing tonight, girl?
Everybody? Glad to be back for another episode of StarChasers, Girls Talk Ball. I know it's always a vibe when we get together. We're so excited for this show. Shout out to my guy Kelvin in the chat. We know there's gonna be more people joining us, but we're super excited today, and I hope y'all liked our new logo and stuff like that. So we're trying to do things, we're trying to upgrade and just give y'all the best show that we possibly can. But y'all know, before we get started, speaking of trying to get the best show possible, please donate to our cash apps, please. Every donation you give, it helps us upgrade our sound equipment, our computers, software, and different things that we have to use as content creators. Also help us pay for this subscription because we definitely have to pay to use the platforms that we use and everything like that. So y'all could please be kind to donate to our cash apps. That would be great. It's right down there on the screen. But y'all know when y'all come in to please like the video. Please like the video. Please like the video. And please like the video. Please also share. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Mine is Stargazer Sports. And Mickey's is Craven Cowboys. It's because you can make tags for us so people have like your exact YouTube tags, people can follow you. But thank you to everybody, John, Lisa, Big Dow. Really glad to see y'all in here tonight to talk about our topic today. What we want to get into is about preparation. What's up, Nisi? Glad to see you. And when we talk about preparation, we've been seeing a lot of preparation, a lot of togetherness, a lot of camaraderie as we've been on this quote unquote off period. But the players, they ain't taking no days off. And so we've seen the players this year, right, which is different from years past. Well, not totally different because, the things that Dak does, he does every year, but like what we're seeing with Micah, and then we're gonna get into an article that was written. I forgot his name, but since I think you have it, where he breaks down Duke Manyweather and
Yeah, Garrett
Yeah, Garrett
Cordell.
Cavell and breaks down Duke Manyweather. Y'all know who Duke Manyweather is, who, you know, the goated, great offensive line coach in the league, who has his
Yeah,
headquarters here in Dallas, and he's been very close with developing our offensive linemen. Um, but I think there was a rift, and I think that rift switched, and now Duke and our O line coach Connor Riley have like developed this like symbiotic relationship that I don't think was in existence last year. So what you think about that, sis?
talk about it. Now, I'm so glad that you start off with this topic because I was actually earlier today looking that I maybe heard maybe an interview that Solari gave sometime last year. Like I said, I was trying to find my finger on it, but where he was asked about maybe what he thought about off-season training from other guys before coming to Cowboys camp, and I can't remember his response. I don't know if it was a great response, and even before now, just like you mentioned, sis. I don't know if we've seen, the collaboration between, Duke Manyweather and Solari in the past. So I think it's very interesting. Just like you said, I love the picture and the thumbnail that you used, and that's a picture that Duke Manyweather actually tweeted out saying, same page. And I actually go ahead and share the screen and we actually bring up the article and talk about it. And I love that Duke tweeted it out because, like you said, sis, it's something about, of course, we talked about it, plenty of times, Schottenhauer mentioned relationships and how you can kind of build bridges between coaches and players, players, between, rookie or younger players with vets. It's just another bridge that as actually, I'll say, it's already been building. I think there's a quote actually in the article that Duke mentions that the Cowboys have had various coaches over the years, but he's really been the anchor, kind of the
Right.
constant, for these guys, if you will. So I just love that, like you mentioned, him getting on the same page with the offensive line coaches, and said they kind of went over what they plan to learn, during their time away from the facility. But I think just learning me myself, still kind of learning, about Duke Manyweather and his background and things like that. I really just enjoyed the fact that he said that like these, he kind of goes, of course, teaches his own thing, teaches guys how he wants to, how he feels like they should, concentrate on their, their strengths and kind of hone in on their weaknesses as well and kind of better those as well. But he actually I like that he kind of hones in, kind of keeps it specific to the player and actually tries to, develop the player at the same time and also trying to progress the player. It could be, from a young guy like Guyton or Tyler Smith, being young before visiting him, or to vets, guys like Zach Martin, even guys from other teams, Terran Armstead, he mentioned, offensive linemen, other offensive linemen from the Saints, from the Chiefs. And I just think, that, him getting a little bit more spotlight on his program, OL Masterminds, not
Right.
only gives more information to the Cowboys fans, but just, really fans across the league, because it just kind of opens the eyes a little bit of, offensive linemen. At least for me, I know I didn't know a ton about offensive line before I actually, actually watching football. I just knew, the guys up front with the force, the ball moves behind them, but just
Right.
kind of learning a little bit more of the details, a little bit more of the ins and outs. I love that these players will be able to kind of develop, because we know that they don't get a lot of tough practice in mini camps or camps. So I think they're not allowed to be too physical. So I like that they're able to go to a place that they feel that they can kind of exercise, what they really need to, really need to get better out on the field.
Absolutely. And I think that, well, you could bring up the article because there's a lot of specific things in there because it's like specific plans
Right.
that they have for each of the offensive linemen. And when I said at the beginning, I feel like there was a rift, and then now I feel like there's more of a symbiotic relationship, is because we had talked about how obviously Duke came out earlier about April. I think it was like April. He was asked about, how he felt about Guyton,
Yeah.
and his words on Guyton was not very, it was not seen very positive. You can bring up this picture, sis, that he tweeted out, that says
Yeah.
June 15th, I think, or June 13th, where he tweeted out, what is it? It's a same page, right, sis? Scroll up.
Yeah. Mhm.
I'm trying to see the full tweet in the like on the screen. I think it says same page. Oh, you clicked out of it. But anyway, but
So just hang. Then bring it up again.
but yeah, so I think that there was issues on what was being actually taught to the players with Solari versus what maybe Duke was teaching the guys, because shout out to our O-line gurus here in the nation. And we love, Duke Manyweather, but we also got to give a shout out to our O-line gurus in the Cowboys content space, which is the OC from with Boss Cowboy Sports, as well as Vaj Lombardi, as well as Lou from Lou's Tape. And each of them talked about specifically about how reason why that Guyton was struggling and that Terrence Steele was struggling, and it seemed like they had taken a step back, was because Solari or somebody changed their stance. There's certain stance. I think it was like their kick stance and things like that, like basically causing them to be in a stance of oversetting, and then thus people kept getting them on the inside. And so I think that there was some type of riff and tiff. I think that something was going on, with Tyler Guyton. I don't know what happened, but it seemed like Duke came out probably like last month and said they were good, and then bam, we see this tweet now saying the same page with all of our coaches and O-line mastermind. So I think that everybody just sat down, talked, got it together, got on the same page, and actually developed a plan. Because listen, when I made my tweet, it wasn't about Duke Manyweather. It was about what I was thinking and seeing, because I'm like, listen, what I know about Tyler Guyton is a guy that came down here the day after he was drafted. So, and I'm listening to all the people that I just named, and it's like Guyton, he needed more strength and things like that. But the way it was painted is like, he's not working hard, and it caused a lot of people, like I said, to panic. But I think that at this point, everybody's on the same page. And so this guy came out with this great article where he is specifically going into each plan. And so when he talked about Tyler Guyton specifically, he talked about how the things. Sis, can you pull it up?
Yeah, I got
on
you.
my phone, because I think I saved it. But I think that they wanted to work on Guyton's strength. Yeah, okay, here it goes. His posture, strength, balance, and in his stance. But anyway, what do you think about what I said, sis?
No, I definitely agree with you. I mean, just like you said, we've kind of heard different things through the off season. I mean, we saw Guyton's interview that, when he sat down and talked about how, we talked about before about the camaraderie of the offensive line room and the guys
New
coming
coaches,
together.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. The energy in the room, the new excitement. We saw them going to hockey games together. We saw them spending a lot of time together. So I think with these guys, like I mentioned earlier, them also getting the individual attention. Because I mean, there's also, like I mentioned, earlier about him being the constant. Another constant that's been there is another coach that's been there, for a few years, Ramon Chen Young. And that's kind of something interesting for me. Like, not saying he was never mentioned or not important or didn't have an impact or anything like that, but for a guy that's been there for a while and also has coached up other offensive linemen. We saw him, I think it was the Senior Bowl. I think it was. We saw him on the field helping them with some drills, with some of the workouts. So, he's had his hands on other players as well. So for these guys to get even further development from the coach that's already been there, work with Solari. Maybe, maybe he was there. Maybe he couldn't have as much input. Maybe Solari, I don't know if Solari was necessarily, maybe you can help me out, since if he was a McCarthy guy, but maybe he kind of operated.
Solari worked with McCarthy when he was in Green Bay. He also is a shoddy guy, believe it or not, because he was Shoddy's offensive line coach. He was Shoddy's offensive line coach at Seattle, and Mike and Shoddy, I think, were tied to him because I believe Solari was even his dad's offensive line coach.
Oh wow! Oh okay! Wow! So definitely got some
back, like way,
yeah. Yep. Okay. So I guess the point I was kind of getting at is that maybe Solari kind of worked similar to McCarthy, to where he felt like not it was his way or the highway, but maybe he felt like he was a little bit more, had a little more time in the game, felt like his, maybe his mannerisms or maybe his teachings maybe should have been the way that the players go. So maybe that's something where some of the kind of butting heads came from, or maybe he just felt like I want these guys, I want to teach these guys what I want them to do. This is my room. I want to go forth with some of my methods. But maybe now that Chin Young has a little bit more voice, maybe he kind of put his hands a little bit more on the players as well. So I think some of the development, I think this will go a long way with the development of the players, because they're actually honing in, like they mentioned in the article. They sat down with the coaches and spoke about what each player, that in his opinion, what they need to work on, and they're actually going to work on that and then come back at camp. So that way the coaches should also know when these players show up to camp, what they should be, what I said should be better in.
Right.
I'm saying maybe some of the things that they should have improved during this 40 to 50 days that they had before camp. So I think they'll have a good checklist and just some things to kind of go over when they actually do get back to camp. So it's not really any kind of it'll be a similar overlap. Some of the things that they learn with Duke, they'll learn when they get back to camp.
And that's why we named, we're talking in this show about preparation, because that's what this is. And when you look at the definition, I had looked it up because I was like, what is the actual definition of preparation? And when I looked it up, it literally is the action or process of making ready or being made ready for use or consideration. And so that's what I think that the players are doing now. They are being made ready, because I think that when they get to camp, these players don't want to get to camp and, okay, now I'm trying to get caught up on the playbook and now I'm trying to work on these things. No, they want to be all these things, all the things that they suffered. And this is what happened. This is why people say championships are won in the off season. All of your games are made in the off season. So this is what the players are doing, right? And Duke has formulated this specific plan that they're doing Monday through Friday, all the way up until camp, is because they're getting them ready so that when we get to camp, we are hitting the ground running and preparing for Philly week 1.
Yeah. And you mentioned that early in the offseason too, sis, about them needing more time to actually prepare for this season that's upcoming, because it's it's different when you're preparing for for a preseason versus actual week 1.
Right, exactly. So what Shotty's doing is we're trying to get ahead. We're trying to get ahead so that these things like what Guyton struggled with, right? They said that Guyton played in 15 of the 17 games, started 11 of them, but Guyton was graded. Now, I don't care about grades, but he was graded as the 73rd best offensive tackle with an offensive grade of 49.4. He was also whistled for 14 penalties, the figure that was tied for the second most in the league last season.
Right.
And those come from, when you look at the area of focus, posture, strength, balancing, and his stance. So with Guyton, his issue was he had to get lower body strength because he did not have that yet. That's why when you would see him block, you know what I'm saying, he has a tendency to lunge, has a tendency to get thrown. He can't always anchor down like he needs to, because he's got great feet. He's got great feet. He's got elite feet. I'll even say that he's got elite feet, but he didn't have the lower body strength. And then this is also talking about how his specific posture to keep him from lunging, because he also has a lunging issue. And that was one of the things that I had on Guyton coming out of college. That's why I had Guyton graded a mid-second round pick, because I was like, listen, he got the height, he got the feet, he's got the things that you can't teach, but he didn't have the strength and he didn't necessarily have the technique. That's why a lot of people were not really happy too much when we picked him. And so it said that, I think this is just a quote. I think this is from Duke. He said, the big thing that I always told him, and then also anybody changing to the opposite side, because y'all know Guyton was on the right side in college. Right. Now he's to the left. And he said, don't try to make this side feel like the side that you got all these reps on. It's going to feel different because it's a different movement pattern. It's really been, like TG said, it's really been the stance, the weight distribution, and the posture. Being able to maintain the posture under load on that side. That's really what we're focusing on. Then getting him to really understand that we got to reset the feet in order for the hands to be efficient and effective, right? So this is what they're saying. They're working on, these specific technical issues. And so hopefully when we get to camp, preseason week 1, Philly week 1, Guyton will be ready to go. Because you see, he only had a certain amount of time really to get acclimated, right? You go straight
Right.
from college, in a few months you're already playing it in the NFL. It's
Right.
like this April, NFL season starts in September, so you only have this window. But now he's not only got all these games under his belt, but now he's also got a full off season as a pro in
Correct.
order to get better. So I really thought that this was very interesting, a well thought out article, because I know a lot of people had questions about Guyton, and I know that it brings a lot of people peace that he is still working with Duke, because Duke is known as the best offensive line trainer coach in in the NFL. So it's like, if you want to get better, you need to be with Duke. I will also say you need to be with my guy OC too, but Duke is also, he's recognized as the greatest in the NFL as far as O-line training.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, sis. I mean, just to kind of add on to some of your points, not just a full off season, but we even heard about guys being in the weight room, putting on that, kind of shedding the baby weight. And we've actually kind of seen that with a lot of the rookies, kind of shedding a little bit of baby weight, putting on some muscle, and even some of the second year guys coming in too. I mean, Cooper Beebe, just like you mentioned, Guyton coming into the second year, and then we have Booker right behind him. They say he was training with Duke Manyweather, even when he was down in Alabama. So he's kind of gotten a head start as well. So I think just some of and he also actually kind of mentioned that he thinks. I know we'll get to him a little later in the article, but he actually mentioned that he feels like Booker could actually take another step as well, and with the other guys on the line as well, even someone as seasoned as Terrence Steele, who we'll get to later on as well. He felt like he can still improve in this game, because we know he kind of had an off year last year, but. Just a point you made earlier, just I like that they have someone like Duke Manyweather, because this isn't the first time we've seen them draft a lineman. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
My camera, you guys. Let me see if I can bring up.
Yeah, I can still hear you. It's kind of like going.
Can you still hear me,
out,
sis?
But I could hear you. And just to shout out some people while getting her camera. Just shout out to Joey Badass. Nice to see you here, Swain, my guy Swain. And Swain, I agree with you. I don't think the coaching staff last year did not want Guyton. They did not want him. You know what I'm saying? He was a project, and they knew that they were on a proven year. And so I think, it was less on trying to mold him, and more so, just like Sis said at the beginning, do what we tell you to do. And if you can't do it, then I'm gonna bring in this guy who can do it. That's why Guyton was getting benched for Chuma, and he was getting benched for Austin Richards, because it really wasn't. When I went back and watched the games, and I was gonna do a film review on Guyton. I don't think I'm gonna do it now. I was just like, whatever. But I went back and watched a lot of his games, and I'm like, the games where he was getting pulled, he wasn't having no bad games, and this was the games that didn't matter. So it's like, why were you pulling him? It was just a coaching thing. You know what I'm saying? Those coaches just didn't want him. You know what I'm saying? They didn't want him.
Yeah.
They didn't want to develop him. So it just is what it is. But Stephen White, I don't know if we shouted you out, but shout out to you and JV B-Boy. That's my guy. I really appreciate you, JV. He always blesses me with the random cash app. So I really appreciate you. But yeah, we can go on to the next one, which they talk about Tyler Smith, which, believe it or not, Tyler Smith is what, 2-time or 1-time All-Pro, 2-time Pro Bowler and stuff. And so you would think, oh, he doesn't have much to work on, but it's like he has tons to work on. And a lot of people made fun of Shoddy when he said that Dak was to develop it, but it is true. Like, if you're a player, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse, basically. Like, you should always be trying, no matter how long you've been in the league. Like, you should always be trying to get better. There's always something that you can get better at. And if you think that you've arrived and you've made it, think again, because you haven't. You know what I'm saying? And especially nobody on this team who haven't won a damn thing. They definitely shouldn't be like, oh, I'm good. Are you really? You know what I'm saying? Like, you haven't won anything. So I don't know how you can say, oh, I'm good. But his focus is getting off the ball quickly and establishing his first 3 steps to maximize leverage and power. And You know what? I can agree with that because there were some times last year when you was watching the film in the run game, you'd see Tyler Smith kind of slow off the ball. You know, he couldn't get to his block because he didn't get to his block. The run was over before it could even begin. You know, so that's things that I saw from him. You know what I'm saying? So not saying that that's a constant in Tyler Smith. I mean, he's a Pro Bowl All Pro, so we're not about to sit here and act like it's just the worst thing. But it is something where it's like we would love for you to be more consistent in that way. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't want our Pro Bowl All Pro guard giving up sacks or giving up could be possible explosive runs, but you got your ass beat on the first rep just because you couldn't get out of your stance quick.
Right, especially with some of these DTs that we're going to be facing in this upcoming schedule. I mean, some of the in the inside guys. I mean, we have Jalen Carter, I believe, from the Eagles week 1. So just some of these guys that are going to be facing down the line. Like you said, it's good for these players to kind of improve. And like it kind of mentions in the article, Tyler Smith being one of the newer leaders in this room, kind of taking in some of these guys under his wing. Even Guyton kind of mentioned in one of his interviews that him and Tyler Smith have been spending a lot of time together off the field, kind of becoming, I don't want to say brothers, because I don't know if he necessarily used the word brothers, but just really spending time taking him under his wing, kind of learning some of the ins and outs, because Tyler Smith even mentioned that he learned, from the vets meet, met with Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, learned from those guys, and he can almost right away pass down those things he learned, because Booker mentioned that he met Tyron Smith there as well, but kind of some of the things he learned under being under Tyron Smith, he could pass to some of these younger guys. And just the point I was going to mention earlier before my camera did go out, I just kind of wanted to mention that it's great for the Cowboys to have a mentor like Duke Manyweather, because they've had a plethora of guys that they drafted who have had to switch sides. I mean, Booker just this past year, Guyton who switched from from the right side to the left side. You know what I'm saying? So just a lot of these guys they brought it, even back to Zach Martin. I believe he first played the left side and then decided to stay at the right guard position. I think it's very important that even if you practice some of the things you won't be necessarily exhibiting in the season, if you get down, older in your career, like Zach Martin, I'm saying, even just, I think this last year, a couple of years ago, when he went to train with Duke Manyweather, kind of, got some ears ringing, kind of got some of the younger guys to be able to go over to Duke Manyweather and look for some help, from him as well. So I think just another show of leadership from some of these guys. Now that you mentioned, now it's all 5 of the starting 5 guys working with Duke Manyweather in this offseason, so that way they can, just like you mentioned, being able to be on the same page is very important, not just between the coaches and a mentor from the outside, if you will, but also all 5 players, all 5 starters. Knock on wood for us, will be able to start off on the same page. And just get a good kickoff to the season.
Absolutely. And I think that, I mean, the mentorship, and this is what we're talking about, the togetherness, the camaraderie, the preparation, right? Because the preparation is not just the football stuff, right? But it's also building the bonds, building the relationships, knowing your brother, knowing your teammate inside and out. Because these are the things that help you come together in the big moments. Because like I said, in football, you're in the NFL, so the talent gap is not even that big, and that's from the worst team to the greatest team. I mean, all these players are good enough to be. If you're a starter, you're playing on the NFL football team, you're good enough to be in the NFL, right? And we already know that there can be great players, all pro players on really horrible teams. So, but what it's the togetherness that is the difference in big games. It's being on the same page, like Duke said, same page. We've all got to be on the same page, and that's from the front office to the coaches, from the front office to Shadi as our head coach, to all the assistant coaches, as well as, what's up, Darren Posey? Glad to see you. As well as the trainers, right? Because Duke is not officially a Cowboys employee, but trainers. You need to be talking to these trainers and like, what are you teaching them? This is what we want them to work on, because that's the only way that everybody's going to be in a flow when we actually get to training camp, when we actually get to the season. So, talking about, development. So, and read this quote. This is another quote from Tyler Smith. He said, "Our biggest thing is just to be able to run off the ball, get the first 3 steps in the ground, and allow him to use that leverage and power that he has." I think this is from Duke. It's pretty special in pass pro. getting big jumps and being an aggressive hitter, being able to end the fight early because there's not too many people that are going to be able to get off of him. Manny Weather said, it's really been honing in on those things, getting him to be more efficient with his change of direction and redirect, and think that every single year the concept has gotten more and more through to him. So basically just trying to get him to work on his twickiness and his quickness. Like he said, getting to the ball before the play even begins. Like getting deading things immediately. You know what I'm saying? So I think that that's I just think it's great that the things that we as the content creators could see, like if this player need to work on something, that they're actually working on that thing. You know what I'm saying? Because that shows
Yeah.
that one, we know what we're seeing, but also that the coaches know and the coaches are trying to develop them and get better. And I think for Cooper and Booker and Steele, is that what they're really working on is um well, it's that BB he's obviously in a new position, right? So
Yeah.
even though I don't believe we had a single snap issue. I remember that was the big thing in camp. I don't know Hoffman. What were they saying? I don't
Right.
know if it's gonna be Hoffman because he needs to get consistent snaps. They made that such a big deal last training
Yeah.
camp. I don't think BB had one bad snap during the whole season. I think he had one of the highest rates of not giving up pressures, not giving up sacks.
Mhm.
And so, but to look, 15 best, and that's him just starting off. There are
Right.
32 starting centers in the NFL, and he was 15th best as a rookie. He never played the position in his life.
Right.
Never played it. Even he would train for it, right? He would train for it at Kansas State, but he never played center in an actual game. So for him to come in and be that good is really impressive. And I think this is another quote from Duke. He said, honestly, he was moved to center and he really didn't have any detailed coaching or development in season to make that transition.
Right. You heard.
So, yeah, what's that?
Right. Again.
Yeah,
Right.
that's that's a shot.
Yes. Facts.
That's a shot at the
Facts.
coaching staff, which y'all remember I talked about it where Guyton's dad deleted it, but I caught the comment where he said that the players were not happy with the coaching staff. The whole offensive line room was unhappy with the offensive coaching staff. So for Duke to say he basically wasn't developed at all. Like they
Right.
just said, we're putting you at center. Good luck.
Right.
So what he had was basically what we had worked on in the offseason, and then I tried to give him as much as what I see during the season as possible. I think it's just Cooper being confident and making the transition to center, about the small stuff, being able to use the hand, being able to tailor make what your steps and targets need to be in the run game and pass protection for what a center needs to be versus all the time he spent at guard. Exactly. And that's exactly what, shout out to my guy Lou, because when he would do his breakdowns in the season, he would say the three guards, because he would say Cooper Beebe is a guard because it's like Cooper Beebe's so used to just attacking the guy in front of him and just moving him out the way, but you can't do that as a center. You like Dude said, you kind of have to be, you do a lot of shuffling and things like that. You got to be a heads up for assignments and loop blitzes and all of those types of things. So that was something that he wasn't really used to because he didn't do that. So, the fact that he was basically, that paragraph says Cooper Beebe was developing on the job.
Right.
He didn't have no idea what he was doing. Duke would just tell him, okay, you could try to work better at this, because he had no training, because he spent, he did train a little bit of it, in the off season, but he's like, that's all he really had to rely on.
Right, right. And then even Shadi mentioned this in this past offseason that he's actually kind of able to get some of those calls back from Dak. He said in the beginning of offseason, Dak was kind of a little bit more control in the calls during minicamp, but he said that Cooper's actually been progressing enough to be able to get those calls back. So, and that's even before minicamp was even able to let it out. So for him to kind of be a little bit ahead of the game before you actually get back to camp, not putting too much on his shoulders, but I think him kind of being able to kind of learn a little bit slow and steady during this off season kind of helps him a little bit to kind of make hopefully another push, another leap, and playing second year, under the Cowboys.
I agree with that. And
Mhm.
We moved to Tyler Booker and said, he's working on cross training because he was a left guard. Tyler
Right.
Booker did not play right guard. I'm not sure if he played in high school or not, but he's been a left guard pretty much. What's up, Brian? Got to see you from Facebook, but he's pretty much been a left guard his whole career.
Yeah.
And well, all his meaningful football, which is college and up, has been at left guard. So he's really got to work on that. You know what I'm saying? But looking at the quotes from Duke, he says it's really been fun to see his progress. I thought he made a really big jump in the last 2 years. The thing about us, whether it's Zach Martin, whether it's Terrence Steele, Guyton, we always train to be a left side player and a right side player. So Duke is saying he just cross trains all his guys, so that's good to know. So pre-draft, Tyler got a lot of work at the right side and the left side, and we continue to do that. He's like, when you train on the other side, you don't play on. Not only does it stimulate the brain and the motor development, but it makes your non-dominant side better as well. All right, that's interesting. I never heard of that. So it eliminates any susceptibility to asymmetries, which can cause injury.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is a guy plays on the left side his entire career. They'll start to have repetitive, recurring injuries from having extreme internal rotation. So basically, it's like your body will be overcompensating, basically, and that's shortening him on the right side. So we're trying to train right and left as much as possible. Because he's like, basically, if you've been a left side player, then you go to the right side, you're going to be overcompensating, and thus you're going to be getting continuous injuries because it's different. The total what's the word? Move, I guess, just simple movement.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think of muscle memory a little bit. Just I have a little bit more of a physical job, so like I can understand like when you're kind of using the same hand and the same foot every day, for months, for years, or in these guys' cases, playing the same position, and you're constantly moving this way, or instead of moving this way, so you kind of put a little bit more stress on some of the muscles or even some of the bones on or whatever particular side of the body that the player is playing on. So like I mentioned earlier, just like you mentioned, sis, I think it's great that they have someone like Duke who thinks of these things. Maybe ahead of time. Not saying Solari didn't think of it, not saying the other coaches before didn't think of it, but when they draft a player, they have to hit the ground running too. So it's not all on coaching, at least in my opinion. You can't blame, at least for me, the coaches maybe just taking the players that they get, through the draft. Okay, I got to work on this guy's this. And they do have a lot on their plate, trying to curb their teachings to each of the guys that's brought in, potentially in their room. But I like that they got have another option. Not saying that they have, an out, to their actual present offensive line coach. But, and we mentioned earlier, I'm glad these guys built the bridge that we had. They hopefully always had that constant communication. But now these guys feel like maybe these guys don't now they feel like they have to choose. Maybe they don't feel like they have to choose between Duke or do I listen to Duke? Do I listen to the offensive line coach? Who would I, these guys can be on the same page and these guys can, not saying they were, but not be afraid to talk to the coach or, hey, I learned this from Duke. Do you think this is, good or bad? Maybe these guys don't feel like they're stepping on any toes or, what I'm saying, kind of talk like, what I'm saying? So at least they feel like, the players don't feel like they're, questioning authority on either side, and the coaches, or the mentors don't feel like they're stepping on each other's toes. So I think it's kind of a win-win, and also another win from the front office because you're actually getting really double the teachings, double the mentorship, and these guys can just like I mentioned here with Duke kind of improving the brain and motor development, not just for playing both sides or playing both sides for the player. It kind of develops the brain and motor for all 5 years starting five, and maybe even the depth pieces that come in. They go to train with Duke as well. You kind of get a step ahead in the game, so that these guys are not just physically ready for the season, but actually mentally as well. And just like you mentioned earlier, it's just like when these guys get to camp, they don't have to worry about thinking about what step I got to take, what movement I got to make. These guys are already going to be hitting the ground running.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And I think, about the brain and motor development, like that's something that you definitely got to work on when you are switching from side to side, because people think that it's easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really not. It's totally different. You know what I'm saying? It's just like wiping your butt with your non-dominant. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate to be so graphic, but it's just how it is. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of people, so if we see a little bit of growing pains, I know how great Tyler Booker's film was coming out, but we have to understand that he is switching a position, and yes, he's doing the work with Duke and stuff like that. So, but he may have a little bit of growing pains. going to the right side just for a little bit. And so we have to understand that. So I'm glad that this article is breaking down like
Me too.
these are the deficiencies that we see. These are what we're trying to fix for each individual player. And so when we talk about Terrence Steele, it said a more detailed approach to his handiwork as well as increased mobility. And I'm pretty sure that's what my guys Lou and Vach and the OC have said about Steele is that his hands really just haven't been good. You know what I'm saying? Like he needs to be able to punch, strike, be better in that area. But
Yeah.
I want to read. So it said his return because y'all know he tore his. I think he tore his ACL and MCL. I think he tore both actually. And so he returned from the knee injury, which was in 2023, which was rocky, right? But Terrence Steele, since he's come on the scene, when he first came on the scene for Lyle Collins in 2020. He played in 2020 or 20? No, he was rookie year of 2020, which was bad. But he wasn't starting, and he only played a few games. And then 2021, he ended up starting because Lyle got suspended for all them games. And so since he's actually like started and had like actual reps, like he's been an amazing run blocker. So, you know, his run blocking grade for PFF 78.9, right? Which is 12 best amongst the tackles. So he's always been a really, really good run blocker. But his issues has always been pass blocking. You know, that his specialty is run blocking, right? So with pass blocking, how's he going to get better? He's going to get better by his hands and, like I said, increase mobility. But to read, I think is this a quote from Duke?
It looks like a quote, but I think he talks a lot about his pressures and just kind of like he talks about how PFF doesn't necessarily cover everything. Like you can't necessarily go off PFF for everything.
Oh, well, shout out to my guy, Boss Cowboy. He talked about how PFF started giving Steele pressures and something that's like that wasn't true. So he said, I've had a couple of conversations with PFF and other players to change the way they view things. Dang, Lane Johnson and Taron Johnson are in it as well. Yeah, I think they need, because Duke always says, like, sometimes that's not on the offensive line. Like, the quarterback himself can be running into pressure and doing things like that. Like, how is it on the offensive line? And so it's just saying he's getting back more to a detailed approach, right? He said Cowboys Mike Solari emphasized physical traits over technique. Oh, dang.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, they going in, ain't it? Wow.
They are dragging Mike Solari through the mud. Gee. They're like, yeah. They said he emphasized physical traits over technique. And so now Steele is working on improving his reactivity and change of direction and using his hands strategically. Mike Solari wanted him to do different things with his hands that I didn't. Dang, Duke is putting it out. This is a Duke.
Right. It's like he's officially gone. I can speak my mind
Duke got
now.
this guy to come in. He must have been triggered. You know what I'm saying? He's like, you know what? Because I'm training these guys and stuff like that. I'm going to let y'all know what the issue was, because it wasn't me. It wasn't me as a trainer, because he said Mike Solari wanted him to do different things with his hands that I didn't necessarily agree with and that I didn't think worked for Terrence. I think late last year, you see him get back to some of the timing with his hands that worked for him. I think that's the kind of what's going on with Connor Riley this year. We're on the same page with that. See, didn't I say that before I even read this article? I said Solari and Duke was not on the same page. They were not on the same page. And I think if there was a rift between him and Guyton, it probably just had to do with how Guyton felt about his rookie year and his coaching. I think Guyton was just probably frustrated. I'm frustrated with how I looked out there. And I'm paying you millions of dollars, you know what I'm saying, to make sure I don't look like that, and I look like that. But now we're knowing, well, it didn't have nothing to do with, like, that didn't have to do with me. You know what I'm saying? That was your coach. That was your coach who wanted y'all to do that and stuff like that. So I'm really glad he put this out, because this is like, let's clear the air here. Let's clear the air. So anyway, I think this article, and thank you, JV, for enjoying the chat. I really appreciate everybody who's coming into the chat. Let's take a break. Make sure y'all hitting the like button. Everybody who's in here, if you're on Twitter, please come over to the YouTube side. I have posted my link on my Twitter. Mickey's posted her link on her Twitter. So please come over to the YouTube side and like the video and help the algorithm. You know, Mickey and I are both trying to just grow our channels. We're really trying to grow and put out the best content possible. So y'all please help us out if y'all can. We also enjoy reading y'all's comments. We received that was the wrong button. But we had I love when we get that notification. We have over 100 messages today with you guys talking back to us and stuff like that. So we really, really appreciate each and every one of y'all in the chat. And just be sure if you're coming in, don't just be a lurker, please. And like the video, but we spent quite a bit of time on this, so I think it'd be good we end just to talk about some more camaraderie that we've seen going around here. You know what I'm saying? So we can pull up.
Yes. Yeah, actually, what I'll do, I'll bring up I'm going to bring up the 40-second witnesses IG, because they actually have just some clips and some pictures of, you know, as we know, Dak took some of the skilled players on his, you know, on their trip to kind of, you know, get a little bit more, you know, team involvement, a little bit more chemistry amongst the guys. So I just want to bring that up right quick, and we, like you said, we can talk about it.
Yeah, you can bring it up, and then I think it also would be good to I can bring it up on. Shout out to my guy Brandon Laurie. I'm gonna be using all your tweets today because he be on top of this stuff.
Facts.
So I'm gonna use it because I'm gonna be on Brandon Laurie's page. Look at this. Y'all need to go follow when I bring his stuff. Y'all need to go follow Brandon Laurie. Please go follow him. I thought he would have way more followers. He's got like 9,500. Y'all go follow Brandon Laurie.
Yeah, he posts a lot of really great stuff. Even some stuff that I only see none of the beat writers post as well.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, he really needs to be appreciated for his work, because he pretty much shows us every single thing that goes on with the actual players. Like every from I proposed to my girlfriend, I bought a house, I'm doing this training, like please. And so I'll show you this video because y'all know for the past, I think 2 to 3 years, they've been doing OX performance build. Oh, I think 42 Witness. Is this the video?
Yeah, the first video they had. I think they have it pinned to their page.
Okay, yeah, so we can watch this video because y'all know these are the special like military people and stuff that they're training for. Can we actually hear the video? Is it gonna play?
Let me see if I can. Yeah, let me see if I can get the.
If not,
I can turn the music down a little bit.
I can do it from Twitter as well.
Okay.
If it don't play on this, what is it, Instagram?
Oh, wow.
My bad. I'll restart it.
In a society where mediocrity is too often the standard, too often rewarded, there's intense fascination with men who detest mediocrity, who refuse to define themselves in conventional terms, and who seek to transcend traditionally recognized human capabilities. The man who will find a way to complete each and every task to the best of his ability. The man who will adapt and overcome any and all obstacles. In a society where mediocrity...
This is what? Oh, they're like a hive. These are military, I think like Navy SEALs or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the SEALs.
Marine. And so Dak's been teaming up with them over the past, few years, because basically they teach you a lot of different things about how to navigate through intense conflict. A lot of things about, like, they was out there shooting and stuff like that because I think they just want to teach them on, better instincts, better kill shot, different things like that. Things that they're really trying to work on psychologically. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to work on their brain because there's been, to be honest, like, it hasn't really been that big of a cash. Oh my God, Landlord. Shout out to my guy, Landlord. Is he in the chat? Landlord just sent me a cash. I appreciate that, Landlord. But anyway, my guy, Landlord. Y'all know Landlord from Alabama. Y'all need to go follow him. Go follow Landlord from Alabama right now. But and y'all know, y'all come in chat, please like the video. But anyway, so I think that the O2X performance, like, they're trying to basically get in your head, because that's what I feel like has really been stopping us. Because it's like, yes, the players are physically not performing, but it's like, why are y'all not physically performing? Because y'all have the talent. So why are you out here in this high pressure game looking like this? You know what I'm saying? What's up?
Right,
Boss
right.
in the chat. Shout out to my guy, boss. Love you too, boss. I appreciate y'all so much. But yeah, and
Mm.
so, but that's what they're saying. Like, we need to get into these guys' heads because although it hadn't worked the best, you know what I'm saying? Because we, boss is stupid. But also, because it haven't worked the best,
And shout out to you too, boss. Shout out to you too,
boss,
boss. Shout
boss crazy.
out to the landlord as well.
They crazy. But anyway, I think that yeah, so I think, showing that video stuff is like, even though it hadn't necessarily worked, mm-mm, uh, it hadn't necessarily worked, but I think you just keep doing it because it ain't the training as bad as us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, can we get better? Can we really take in this training and really internalize it? And what's up, Keystone? Glad to see
Yeah.
you. Y'all know this. Y'all love Key the best.
Appreciate you, landlord. Appreciate you.
The king of the underground, called Keystone. But
Yeah.
I really think that, and then this year, what we didn't have, guess who we didn't have last year because he was in contract dispute, CD. Right? We didn't have CD last year. We also didn't have a Pickens last year. You know what I'm saying? Dak was out there throwing a Tolbert and Brandon Cook and Brooks. That's what he was out there throwing too. So it's like now Dak is like, I can really get reps in with my starters. I can really get extra reps in with my guys who will actually be playing. So I hope.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Also, in addition to that, I love seeing guys like Hunter Lipke out there. They had Joe Milton out there as well. Yeah, a lot of guys were out there. I like Schoonmaker. You know what I'm saying? Tolbert out there. Of course, catching that relationship he has with Voss. I just really love that. It seems like you mentioned, like guys that may not have been out there before. Out there, sharing reps with Dak. Joe Milton. Getting him acclimated to the group as well. Not just a Will Greer out there. All three quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? And that way, all the guys made me feel like equal. You know what I'm saying? I think Ezraku mentioned that everybody be on the same page, everyone being treated equally in practice. So, that can kind of resonate over, with Dak's trip, and not just with Dak, but with Micah as well. Micah took out the linebackers early in the offseason. Micah with training with Osa as well. So all these guys feel like they're getting that equal attention. You know what I'm saying? Like just like we mentioned earlier, when camp starts, the coaches don't necessarily have time to focus on each individual player. So now that they're getting the attention and the focus and kind of the training now, just like Schottenheimer was kind of saying throughout the offseason, that once these guys start to hit camp, they don't have to think so much. And they're already kind of hopefully everyone be on the same page and going at the same pace.
Right. This is about hitting the ground. So I talk about preparation, because we're preparing now so that when we get to camp, we're hitting the ground running. We're preparing for Philly. We're not doing this, my technique is off. I don't know the play. No, let's work on that now. Let's prepare now so that we can perform later. We're preparing now so we can perform later. But this is just looking at the guys have been training with, I think his name is Lance Dean. He's a trainer here in Dallas. And Micah, I think maybe Micah, Osa, either it's Akeem Basote, Tommy Akeem Basote, I think may have been out there with them, or there's another guy. I want to say Heath, but it's not Heath. What's our other defensive
Thomas?
No. Wheat, Tyrus Wheat.
Oh, okay.
Tyrus Wheat or Tommy Akeem Basote, but also Solomon Thomas as well. Like these are guys that have been working out consistently for pretty much the whole off season. But this is them just continuing to build that relationship and that camaraderie. So here we go. I hear. But hold on. It's some of Micah's training. They do these workouts. Right.
Come on. Good. Three. Good. Come on. Finish. Hey, come on. Violet. Good. Come on. Good. Arms. Osa. Finish. Go. Come on. Finish. Finish. Come on.
We're running suicide.
Right.
Right.
But this is what we talk about, like the training that they're doing. Then we go to, I think he has clips of everybody. This is just another one. This is Osa. Osa out there moving. I'm excited for Osa. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie. Like I'm not gonna hold you. I'm kind of excited for
Yeah.
I don't know if Osa was doing like these drills. Like he out here doing DN drills as a defensive tackle. So I think that's very, very interesting. But I mean, Osa
Yeah.
looks to me pretty explosive. You know what I'm saying?
And to your point, just notice the speed that they're going at, full speed, just like Shadi was talking about in practice. You're going to play how you practice. So notice that these guys are going in full speed. They're going, just like they were saying in the background, make sure you finish in the play, make sure you run full speed until the whistle blows.
Facts, right? You seeing that intense effort, and the fact that Lance Dean, he ain't a Cowboys, coach or whatever, but clearly he's probably talked to Flutes and he's talked to what's our White Cotton. He's talked to these gentlemen like, what do y'all want me to emphasize when I'm training with these guys? Because we're clearly seeing like an overlay, but. To get into this video, this is Osa, and I think he got another one with Solomon Thomas. And again, guys, this is Brandon Laurie. Y'all, please, I'm gonna show y'all his actual like tag and whatever, so that y'all can go follow him.
Come on. Good right, boy. Yes. Good right, boy. Get there. Good. Good. I like it. Come on. Good. Yeah. Come on. Good right, boy. Yes. Good right, boy. Get there.
This is Brandon Laurie right here. Brandon Laurie. His tag is Brandon is Right. He's a blogger from a staff writer with Blogging and the Boys. So y'all please go and follow this guy because he always, like I said, anything with the Cowboys, he's got it on lock. You know what I'm saying? All the articles and camp, like this is Tyler Smith's camp and all of this different type of stuff. So please go follow him. And I think he did have Solomon Thomas. I thought he did, but maybe he didn't.
He might have just posted it today, I think.
There
it is. Yeah.
So Solomon Thomas, we'll watch this clip and then be done.
Good, Violet. Good, Violet. Now finish. Good. Good, Silas. Good. Good, rep. Good, rep. Come on, push. Yes. Good. It's under control.
Yeah, I love those clips. I'm really glad you brought those up because it shows not only like you mentioned earlier, not just them working on their footwork, but also working in their hands as well. Keeping their hands up, making sure they keep them down.
Explosion, quick,
the start and stop. Yeah,
right. So it's real interesting to see, and we hope to see this. Right, these players are working on it right because they're preparing. So we hope all of this stuff that they do and all these quick twitch moves, all this stuff. We hope to. In the game, we'd be like, and that's why you do those types of drills. You can't make that type of play if you don't do those types of drills. So I'm just really excited about the togetherness of the boys. The fact that we're in the off season, they could be on vacation because it's June. This is the last time they get.
Yeah.
Before I have to be dedicated to this team nonstop from now July to
December, January. Half a year.
So the fact that the players are like, nah, I'm not gonna go to Bali this year. I'm not gonna go to the UAE this year. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna go on a trip to Europe. I could. I'm not gonna go. Maybe I don't do Fashion Week because it's like, let's get together and prepare now. And I love to see this, and I have to think. This probably has to do something with our coach. Y'all don't think so? You know what I'm saying? This is not me trying to gas Shotty or anything like that, but I'm just saying, like, these players, to have the attendance and the consistency, like with Micah, that's consistency.
Yeah.
He's been consistent working out here. He could be working out. Last year, where was Mike at? He was in Philly. He was in Japan. He was here. He was there. He
Mm-hmm.
was everywhere. He was not here in Dallas. He was not. But the fact that he's like, I'm gonna be here working with my guys day in and day out, it shows that the players are serious. The fact that the offensive line said starting offensive lineman has a specific plan. They are to meet with Duke every day, Monday through Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Dak. All right, we're going to do the retreat, but everybody must be in attendance, including the fullback and all the running backs and the last
Right.
receiver on the roster.
Yeah, I saw a picture of Deuce out there. I'm like, I don't know if Deuce was out there last year either.
I don't think Deuce was out there. Like Deuce
Mm-hmm.
was out there. Turpin, of course, was out there. Like all the guys was out
Yeah.
there. They was out there. We saw Flournoy out there.
Yeah.
Tight ends out there. Like we out here. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they're taking it seriously. And we hope that at the end of all this, it's going to yield the results that we want, which we know this year probably ain't going to be a Super Bowl. Like, now granted, anything can happen. Anything can happen. But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
probably not this year. But these are the building foundational blocks, right? Because this is the
Yeah.
first year of the new regime. And we got to remember that this is the first year of the new regime. So, you know, the players and the coaches, like, we got to get ahead so that we don't be behind. Because we know with our lovely owner, Jerry Beautiful Jones, who's coming out with that documentary in August.
Right. Right.
We know him. We ain't seen Jerry. He just been quiet. He been quiet, but I'm trying to tell y'all when this documentary come out, it's gonna be rollouts. He gonna be doing. We're gonna start seeing his ass again. So,
Yeah.
but we know with Jerry, the leash is short. The leash is short, which means Shotty he doing all he doing now, and he's basically got almost full control. But we know if he fucks up in the season, Jerry and them gonna start. All right, let me get in there.
Reeling them in. Yep.
In. Like, all right, let's go. And that's when we're gonna start facing problems. So the coaches know we gotta win. We don't really have that long grace period.
Right.
We need to win. Like we need to look like a formidable team. I don't think the expectation is NFC championship or bust, but I think that the expectation is at least playoffs.
Yeah.
I believe if we don't make playoffs, they're gonna be looking at Shotty like you don't know what you're doing.
Right. And I'm actually glad you brought up that point about coaches because he's also developing them as well. Shadi mentioned in his press conference that at certain points in practice, he had Clayton Adams, he had Andre Curtis kind of coaching both sides of the ball so they can kind of get acclimated with some of the play calling or some of the actions they may see on the field. So that way, in real time, they'll be able to react and be able to come up with, maybe some following plays or maybe to instruct some of the players on what they need to work on or some things that they may have seen that they can kind of build on. So I like these also developing, giving the coaches a standard as well, letting them know that what he wants the players to do and what to expect from the players when they actually do return to the full team activities. And just one final quote, that I want to mention that Shadi mentioned about the skill player strip. He says that for him, quote, it's the time away from the grass that he's excited to hear about. Ball is ball, but it's the team building, the conversation that they have to get to know each other on a deeper level. So, and then he actually, end quote, and actually mentioned that, when they return, he's going to check in with Dak, ask him, okay, what'd you guys talk about? What, not necessarily what all went on when you guys were gone, but, what kind of team building did you guys, kind of engage in? And so that's going to, kind of have Dak hold the players to a standard. And he's going to, check in with Dak to see if he upholds the standard that he has of him. Like, okay, I expect you to take these players together and, not just teach them something, but how can you elevate them as their leader, as their quarterback? So I think, of course, once he gets the answers that he's looking for, I think he's going to find the answers he's looking for. I think Dak, of course, with his time in the league, knows how to lead a group of players, and he's done this trip, many times before over. So I think we're going to see great progress with this team, and even those little intricacies of players on different levels, in different years, coming under a new head coach, but I think like we've heard, throughout this offseason, I think we're going to see multiple players, take different leaps, take different strides in their games to kind of improve the team. And I think, in the long run, and a quote that Booker said to kind of close out, Booker said during the rookie orientation that he's very excited for Cowboy Nation to see how they compete with each other every day. We're going to be the most competitive team in the league. And a quote that I love that he said is, "How you do anything is how you do everything." And I just love that he mentioned that, because it kind of, it kind of just kind of peels the layers back a little bit of the leadership that he could bring to this room. Of course, he's learning from Tyler Smith. Learning from other vets on the team. Being able to meet Tyron Smith. Being able to meet some of the legends through the legend community. But he already has a knack for his own leadership. So I'm very excited to see how he kind of builds his own, but also kind of taking, and he called it a fraternity, of, from past guys that have been in the offensive line, how to lead, but also to kind of lead in his own right, but to also, be able to let the players know that he also, has a standard as well. Not saying it's all about Tyler Booker, but I think it's going to be great for all starting five, not just O line. It's about other players, but I think just kind of focusing on the first round draft pick. I think I love the seeing that his leadership role. He's not afraid to step in it too early. I'm glad to see that he's kind of speaking about the standard that the team is kind of being held to. And like you said, we're going to be the most competitive team in the league. I'm excited to see that in practice. I'm excited to see it week one and going forward. And I hope that we do see. Hopefully we do see some sort of transition with this team. I want to see them make the strides that we're kind of hearing about in this offseason.
I agree with you, sis. I agree with you 110%. And we're doing all this preparation so that we can get results.
Right.
So we definitely want to see results.
Mhm.
Everybody loves Shotty right now. But I'm trying to tell you, if they don't see results on the field, Cowboy fans are going to turn on him. They are going to turn on him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And there are some Cowboy fans. We lose to Philly week 1, they are turning on Shotty. So please let me know. It's gonna be a lot of Cowboys fans. No excuses. We got Pickens. No excuses. No excuse. All of this stuff. So I'm just trying to say. But I think the players notice. I think the coaches notice. So we've got to come out firing. We got to come out firing. I hear what you say, JV, but I got a little bit of intel on that. But I'm not gonna say too much. But yeah, I think that. Yeah, but anyway, I'm not gonna say too much on that. But I think that I do think that agent. I agree with you, Keystone. He's Ty France 2.0. Absolutely. That's probably the most accurate. If y'all want to know what kind of agent Micah got, where y'all saw Dak's last contract, didn't you? Took the Joneses straight to the cleaners. So just know that is, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I think we got to see results. But at least we are liking what we're seeing so far, which is the preparation to get that results. We're seeing different type of training, camaraderie, specific plans, and all of these types of things that weren't happening under Mike McCarthy. Weren't happening. When I say under Mike McCarthy, his offensive line coach, Duke, just put about 30,000 bullets in him. So figuratively, but Duke just shot him down. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's on you, Mike, because that was your coach. You know what I'm saying? That was your coach. That was who you said I'm gonna put over one of my most important things to my football team. And we did not get the results. We did not get the results. But anyway, we're hoping for those results. But anyways, guys, we think we gave y'all a very, very good show. Really just talking about, the camaraderie and the togetherness and the preparation that the old line is putting in, that the defensive line is putting in, that Dak and the wide receivers and the quarterbacks and the wide receivers, because Joe Milton was there too, and Will Grill was there too. And I'm excited for these guys, and I'm glad that I have, the quarterback and the leader that I have, because these other quarterbacks out here, you think Dak don't see Joe Milton season and all of these hype videos that he's coming, that he's gonna take Dak down and he's more athletic and he's got a better arm. Dak see all that stuff. But what is he doing? Is he I ain't gonna have him come to the retreat because I can't have my competition here. No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. No, I ain't trying to do that. Who was that? That was like Ryan Tannehill. Remember when they drafted Malik Willis?
Mm-hmm.
It's not my job to train him.
Facts.
That's what he said. He said it ain't my job to train him. Like, we're competitors. Like, what y'all think this is? But we could have a leader like that. That's like, nah, if you don't talk to me, Don't say nothing to you. You the ops, but Dak's not like that. He literally, I can guarantee you, because of how he treated Trey Lance. Trey Lance was like, "Yeah, Dak, he just tell me everything he know." Now, granted, I'm sure Dak got some secrets, and he gonna tell him everything he know, but he gonna tell him everything he know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna tell you everything I know, but I'm gonna tell you everything I know. Where he's gonna try to help him get better. You know what I'm saying? Because I think wants his Dak performs better when he actually has competition because it makes him better. It's like what iron sharpens iron. So it makes Dak better. If Joe Milton is out there throwing deep bombs and doing all of this type of stuff, it's gonna look, that's gonna push Dak to say, okay, I need to get better. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we want. That's what we want. We want competition around the board. Just like we had, he said Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Roethlisberger said the same thing. I forget who the quarterback that was drafted, but I think Roethlisberger said I think they see the same thing about I'm not coaching the young guy coming in. It's not my job, or
It's not
I'm
my
the lead QB.
you know what I'm saying? But to me,
Yeah.
with Dak, it just shows that I'm a real man and I'm not scared. You know what I'm saying? Because if I was scared, then I'd push you away and I'd make an enemy. But why do that? You know what I'm saying? Because yeah. But anyway,
Now, I was just going to say, I think that mentality is kind of flowing through the team. I mean, Schottenheimer kind of said the same thing about his coaching staff. He brought in guys that he felt could not necessarily challenge him, but guys who he felt, could be on the same level, guys who could push him.
right word. To
Yeah.
him that are better in areas than him.
Right. And he even
better.
Yeah, and even stated that he not that he's afraid, but he even mentioned that, hey, guys, the league is going to come after our coaches because we're going to be successful. We're going to win. Our coaching staff is going to be purged. So he knows the guys that he brought in. So I think just like you mentioned with Dak, kind of taking on that. Bringing in a competitor, bringing in a challenger, if you will, and the other guys may look at look at other guys in the room the same. Oh, Mason Rudolph was the QB. Okay, yeah, that is the QB that was drafted. But and the other guys could look at it the same way. CD. They brought in Pickens, but they didn't look at it as who's going to be the number one, who's really number one. No, we're both the number one. You can see us both out there in the field, and even Ferg could come up too. So all these guys had the mentality that we're vying for spots, if you will, but I'm going to help the next guy come up. I'm going to help him better his game. He can help me better my game. And then, just like Booker said, they're going to be the most competitive team. They're going to be competitive, but it also, just like you mentioned, sis, iron sharpens iron is going to make the entire team better. It's just not going to make your starters better. Not just going to be a guy here or there. Your weapons better here or there. You know what I'm saying? It's going to make, hopefully, everyone better.
Correct. It's going to make your whole team better because of why competition. And that's why the theme is compete every day, compete every day, compete every day, because that's what it is. It's a competition. And Shotty's like, how can I get the best out of that? I'm gonna bring some competition in here. Because Cooper Rush is competition for that. Let's be honest. He's not. Joe Milton is though. And he's competition in the sense of he got a strong arm, he's younger. I still don't think he's that athletic, guys. I know y'all keep saying that, but I'm like, that boy is not athletic, but he's athletic, you know what I'm saying? So you have all of these, and he's just not Dak, which is all the ammo people need, because people been ready to get rid of Dak for I don't know how long. So, but how can I make Dak better? What was the best Dak Prescott we ever seen? His rookie year. And why did he have such a great year? Because he had Tony Vet Romo staring down his throat, and he knew if I mess up, I'm going to be benched, and I'm never going to be able to start for this team. He knew that. Dak knew I don't have any window to F up, because if I F up, Tony's going to come right back and take his job, and he'll have the fan base because they're going to be like, yeah, Dak sucks.
Exactly.
So it's like this year, if Joe Milton actually becomes QB2, which he likely will, unless he just sells in preseason, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He likely will be QB2. Dak knows, like, there is a formidable quarterback behind me. No, he don't have all the knowledge and stuff that Dak has, but a quarterback that in a system you can play with him. You can put him in a run first system, have him just make the big play action throws. He's got the arm to do it. So Dak knows I have to perform. But this is how the greats become the greats. You don't become a great by just surrounding you with subpar competition. You only get better, right? You only get better with more challenges. You know what I'm saying? If it's just you don't get better. It's like when I go working out, my trainer's like, listen, if you don't need 2 minutes to rest, you did not work at you didn't do the you need to go up and wait
Right.
because you could not be like, oh, I could just get right back into the next rep. No, you
Mm-hmm.
not. So that's what I'm
Right.
saying.
It's about pushing yourself.
Exactly. It's about pushing. You need to
Yeah.
push yourself. You need to put
Yeah.
yourself under pressure. And then maybe that will cause you to say, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna perform better. You know what? I'm not gonna throw that ball. I'm gonna tuck it and run it.
Yeah.
Different things that you have to think about now because you fuck up too many times. The fan base is this Cowboys fan base is probably one of the most fickle, bro. So
Yeah.
back Dak messing up, and they got shiny Joe Milton, $100,000 smile, Joe Milton, 6 Joe Milton sitting over there. Everybody
You're
gonna be like,
crazy.
put Joe in, put Joe in. I'm proud of you. Your favorite content creator. They're gonna start making videos. Should Dak be benched? Should Dak be benched? I'm trying to tell you. So
Yeah.
every player's just got to perform. They got to perform to the top of their ability. It's no more you the best, you just the best guy like CD and George Pickens. It's like they don't see it. Stephen Jones made it clear we don't see George Pickens as a two. We see him as a number one. So CD
Mhm.
should be like, even though they're friends, they're comrades, they're competing. Like CD, like, but I'm 1A. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. Facts. Facts.
They're competing. You know,
Exactly.
that's what you
Exactly. And even the playmaker kind of made a comment, before we get out of here. He said, "Hey, long as CD, not literally, but as long as he has one more yard than Pickens, that establishes him as the number one wide receiver." So,
one
just as
more
hard
yard
as
exactly. That's
exactly,
it's like CD, one more yard. That one more better throw.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's gonna come down to that. It's gonna come. But anyway, it's gonna come down to that. So I think all the players they just gotta keep working on it and work on just getting better. Even like with Micah, yes, Micah is the best clearly, but they did bring in Donovan Ezaraku, who has the potential to be all pro
Exactly.
bowler. He has the potential right now, so we don't know. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I
Yeah.
like. Bring in competition. Nobody should just be here. Yeah, I'm the best.
Right. I mean, drafting. I mean, I know Booker's playing guard, but I don't know if it puts pressure on Guyton necessarily. But drafting another lineman in the first round after you just got Guyton last season, and even just I mean, I think it was about mid-season last season when Guyton, at least for me, I saw Guyton saying, "Hey, I'm gonna work on this. Nothing's wrong. I'm good. I'm back on my game." He got back in the weight room early in the off season, so he kind of took it as not disrespect, but I feel like he took it as okay. The Cowboys not necessarily move fast, but I don't think they're gonna necessarily give me this spot, or if I don't necessarily earn and keep
I
this
know,
spot,
right?
they
Exactly.
may not let me hold on to it. So I like they took that as a challenge on himself.
He knows, like we gave you a rookie year as a runoff. You know what I'm saying? But if you
Mm-hmm.
don't do better this year, we're gonna be looking to replace you next year.
Yeah,
And we hit on offensive linemen, so we can replace you easily. You know what I'm saying? So every player
right.
knows we gotta step it up. And every player on this roster in big moments got to step it up.
Yeah,
Have to step it up. And so hopefully we have the coach that can get that out of the players because we haven't had that coach in over 20 years. We have not
right.
had that coach that had what it took to get these players to perform in super high big moments against the best teams. We haven't seen it yet. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen it in my lifetime. Well, I mean, I was a baby when we won our last, or I was like one when we won our last Super Bowl, but I wasn't aware of that we won. You know what I'm
No,
saying? So
same here. Yep.
exactly. So it's like I haven't seen it really. A coach that has what it takes. So let's see if it's shoddy. I don't know, but we holding out that hope. We're glad to see that the players and the coaches are preparing for the big leagues because they're gonna have to go out there and prove it. Nobody's gonna give it to them, and we
Yeah.
have a very hard schedule. So
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be tough. Not getting too ahead, but I think they're aware that the roster cuts are gonna be harder than maybe in previous season because they definitely have good depth pieces, but also great starters as well. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know it was kind of off camera, but as we mentioned with O line and D line, there may not be much competition because we have those starters, but there are some guys who could possibly put fire maybe on a couple guys. So these competitions are going to be very tight. I think when camp comes, and I think it's going to show when the rock as it goes week to week in preseason as the cuts kind of get lower and lower. It's just I think these guys are going to see just how tight, maybe just how tough it may be to actually compete for a spot.
facts. I think you're right. Since you brought up a point with that, but that's a good point. I do think roster cuts are gonna be hard this year because I think if we truly going to allow competition to exist, we shouldn't see everybody that we just assuming. It should be some what? It should be if
Right.
true competition really persisted, we should see one or two like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
If we see everybody that you could just assume would make it, then it's like, did competition really persist? And I'll just say this, if you do get a spot as a player and you technically didn't earn it, you better go out there and earn it on that field. You better go out there and earn it, because I'm gonna be on your ass. All these content creators gonna be on your ass. If you going out there underperforming, guarantee you we gonna talk about it, and we gonna keep talking about it until you're benched. So,
Thanks.
but anyway, y'all, thank y'all so much.
Yes. Appreciate
For,
everybody.
thank y'all so much for joining in with us. We really appreciate y'all. Shout out to everybody. Bama Cowboy came in late. Really appreciate you, Bama Cowboys, for supporting our platform. Y'all know, before we get out of here, please make sure you hit that like. Please make sure you hit that like button. Please make sure you subscribe to our channel. Sis, did you write out our YouTube channels?
Let me get it up.
Yeah, so y'all subscribe to our YouTube channels. Mine is Stargazer Sports, just like it's written there on the screen. And Mickey's is Craven Cowboys. I think she has the little cards that'll come up. But if not, it's Stargazer Sports, Craven Cowboys, just like it's spelled, Craven and then Cowboys. So y'all please subscribe to our YouTube channels and also share the video. Please share the video. Mickey and I, we're really trying to grow our channel. We got logos made and everything like that. So we're really trying to give y'all the best content possible and really do cool and unique things for y'all. But of course, we can't do it without y'all support, y'all's physical support, but also your financial support. If you guys, want to bless our cash apps, mine $sign Stargazer Sports, Mickey $sign MP Cox 90. Please support us, because we're not yet monetized. And there she goes, Craven Cowboy Stargazer Sports. Yeah. So
I
but
have
yeah,
it up. I have it up for the next show, sis.
okay, yeah, great. But yeah, we're not monetized yet, because we have to have at least 1,000 subscribers. So if y'all could please just help us share our content, if y'all know, family members or groups or whatever, so that more people can see our content and subscribe, so that we can grow. But we really appreciate all of y'all. Thank y'all, and we love y'all, and y'all have a good night.
Appreciate you guys.